In this video, I'm going to attempt to show you how to install the Insight Cognex software for the deep learning cameras. But the first thing you're going to have to do is put the camera together. Make sure that there is no power going to the camera. If these cords are hooked up to the camera, either undo them so that there's no power going to the camera when you're putting it together, or make sure that the power is shut off on these cords. And once you get the camera put together, you want to make sure that you put these stickers on either side or both sides of the camera showing the MAC ID and stuff like that, because when we installed the camera into the capstone machine, we put this metal plate to hold the camera, and that hides what the MAC ID and serial number and all that stuff is, because that's under here between the plate and the camera. So once you get the camera put together, make sure you hook up these cords. There's one on this side and one on the other side, and have the cords hooked up on the camera and have the cords hooked up on the other end where they connect to the rest of the system. Now we are going to install the software. Now you should have the software, and where we're going to click on this to start installing the Insight software for the deep learning cameras. I'm going to hit next. And we're going to hit next because we want to install that as well. Yes, install. And we're going to click next. Yes. And that should install all the stuff. Hit next. Install. Finish. Okay, installed complete. Okay, next. And this is the other part of the installation. Yes, next, and install. In the Vision Suite, you notice it came over here. The Vision Suite is what is really installing, that we're going to use for the deep learning. Yes, and we want those drivers, so let's click next. Install. Okay, so now we are done installing that, and it installed the Vision Suite, and that's what we're going to be using. So I'm just going to pin it down here, make it easier. Now sometime during either the installation process or when we launch this, it might ask for the license, and the license is on the USB drive that came with the camera. The USB drive that came with the camera should have the license, but I believe that this didn't ask for the license because on the network there was another camera, and the other camera already had installed the license, and so I think it won't ask for the license now. Okay, so now you see that this is the camera that we have, that we hooked up. And if you're not sure which camera you're working with, if you see that there's one showing up here and you know that your camera's on, you can go down to here and hit identify, we're going to show you this screen. If you notice, over by the Epson robot, I'll try to point right there. See that green flashing bar? That's identifying the camera that we've chosen. So if there was like 5 cameras here, you would just click it, click that one, and then click identify to figure out which camera you're clicking on. Another way to tell, though, is to write down or look at the MAC ID. So notice that it says 94DA7C. The MAC ID of the camera is 94DA7C. So that's the MAC ID, the ending of the MAC ID for the camera. Now what we're going to do is rename this camera Capstone #1. Yes. We're going to change this to a static. 36. I believe we need to change the default gateway, but we're going to just click OK for now. I just opened RS Links. We're going to go to the help on the Cognex. Find information about this camera and setting it up and stuff. Go to support.cognex.com, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then what we need to do is go down here to industrial communication. Setting up the industrial communication. Now this is nice, and you can read through it on how to do these things. But since we just installed the software, it's actually easier and actually has pictures. If you go to the C drive or wherever you installed it, program files, and then go to Cognex, and then go to Insight, Suite, Adapters, this, and go to Docs, and then just click on, I believe you just click on Default, and then this is the exact same thing as what we just looked at over here. But the font is bigger, which is fine. Click on Communications, Industrial Communications, and then we can set it up. Clicked on that one, and then Ethernet IP PLC configuration. Okay, let's actually finish setting up the camera a little bit first before we go into this industrial Ethernet stuff. So we'll go back to the Insight and do our network settings again and just change this. The way that I found what the default gateway is, you can open up RS Links and find one of these bad boys. This is also on the system. This is the PLC that I'm going to be using. Just go like this. Port configuration, so 192.168.821. Save that and open. So 192.168.821. And then 192.168.3.136. Okay, this is going to be the IP address of our camera, so that way we can add that later on as a module into our PLC program. Okay, now we're going to go to Industrial Ethernet, and I am just going to follow the directions on this page. But I'm going to move this over here so I can see it, but then you can see this instead. Okay, select the protocol, Ethernet IP. We have to restart the camera in order to get those settings to save and into the camera. It usually takes a while. And while it's doing that, I will show you this. Okay. Step 3 on that page says, in order to do the electronic data sheet, the EDS file for the Vision system, click on this Install EDS Files. We'll do that. And what this does is this just gets the information so that way we can see the camera and its properties in RSLinx. So you'll see right here, if I hit refresh, right here is the camera, and it has a fancy little picture and stuff like that, but it also will, show information about it once it realizes that it's online. But it's not online because we're restarting. So, but that's how you get that information ready for RSLinx, is you follow these instructions. So again, that was under the instructions we're following, but step 3, it says EDS, install the EDS files, and that's what you do in order to kind of get RSLinx to see the camera. At least to see it as a camera instead of as some just random thing. But now you can see that it's online. We can right click on it and see module configuration, see revision number, serial number, and stuff like that. So, got it? Alright, so we're still following this thing, and we've got Studio 5000 is on the computer, so we're just gonna open it up. And then this next part is where we add the camera as a module into Studio 5000. Project test 12, just in case there's another test program I have in there. And then we have 3 modules on our PLC. Click finish. So step 5, we need to click establish connection using the EDS generated profile, and this is where you add it as a module, which is pretty normal and you're used to doing it like that. But the really key part is step 6. So I'll show you how to add the module and all that fun stuff once we get Studio 5000 going. Okay, Ethernet. New module. And since we installed those EDS files, we can either type Cognex, or we can just click on this and then click Cognex Corporation, and we are this kind right here for the deep learning. And I'm just going to call it my camera. And the IP address was that static IP address, and that's why you want to make it a static IP address. Click OK. I believe it tells you to click change, but then I don't think we change anything here, so click OK, click OK, and then it's created. Now we click close. Now you notice in the controller tags that it made my camera tags, but these things don't have any labelings whatsoever. Now normally, from what I understand, there's an AOP that you install, and that would cause this stuff to label itself. But that's not the case for the deep learning camera, at least as of right now. What we need to do is step 6 in this tutorial that we mentioned over here. So once we've added it as a module, we need to import the L5X run. Okay. So we go to this, we go to the main program of our PLC program, and then we find the import runs option, and then we navigate to this folder. Since we're using the Insight D900, one of the 900s. I believe ours is a 902, but so you go to this folder when you click import runs. So let's go do that. So we're going to go to main program first. We need to open that up. Go to main routine. I believe we can click right click. Yes, you can go to right click and hit import rungs, or probably edit import rungs. So let's just do this, import rungs. And this is where we need to navigate to that folder, which is program files, Cognex, Insight Vision Suite adapters, and 1.6 FFB, Insight, DXX, this one, yep, we got there, and then we import this thing, and click open. Now this is where, right here, it'll pop up and it'll be there, but you need to click on tags, and then this is where we need to follow the instructions, where this is where you click on your, so eye to eye, so my camera, and then O to O, my camera. I'm just double clicking, and then click OK. The thing is though, almost everything else you only have to do once on the computer, except for this. This you have to do anytime you create a new program where you're going to use the camera. So anytime you add a new module and you're adding your camera, you also have to import these rungs. The reason you do that is because in your controller tags, notice that when you imported those rungs, it created this Insight in and Insight out. These are the tags that you're going to use for triggering your camera, for getting information from your cameras, for sending information to your camera. You are not going to use these two tags. Because look, now you've got all those things. Whether the camera's online, whether it's paused, whether it's ready for a trigger, and then on the Insight out, you're sending information from the PLC to the camera. But the control, that's what I'm looking for, sorry, is where you go down, and this is how you trigger. You use this variable to trigger a camera acquisition. So that is pretty much all you need to do to get the camera to work with your PLC. So you need these rungs because it's taking that generic information that doesn't have any of those variable names like trigger acknowledged and all that stuff, and putting it into this Insight in, and the same thing, it's putting that Insight out, which is you're sending a trigger out to this generic thing. So you want to use these Insight in and Insight out, but you need this rung in your PLC program in order for you to be able to use those Insight in and Insight out. So let's do a rung. XIC. You would want to do this trigger, like if you want a button on your HMI to trigger your camera to trigger the camera, then you would, and then you have this OTE out control. I think I passed it. Yes, I did. It organizes them different. There we go. So anytime this turns true, then it'll trigger the camera. So you can do whatever you want here, but this is how you trigger the camera. And then, you know, a rung here, XMC, OTE. Oh, good grief. XMC, OTE. There we go. And then this is where you would use the Insight in, you know, for inspection results like pass, fail. You probably use it there. But, you know, if the camera's online, system ready, results, valid. And then we've got this, you know, status online. Now camera is ready, so we can move forward in our programming. You know, if you want to make sure that the camera is available before you do anything else. To view through your camera, you come back to this Insight Vision Suite. Click on the camera that you want to be connected to. You do connect. Now it's creating a job for the camera in spreadsheets, I think is what it defaults to. Now in order to see, this is what the camera just took a picture of. You can click play to take a shot, screen, you know, one picture. To get this double, like, so it's not like overlay or whatever, view split, that's how I did it. You do vertical split, and if you want none, if you want it like that, you can do that. Go split, but I like it like that. And then you can click on this image, and that's where you adjust your exposure and stuff like that. And if you want the camera to be the illumination or something else, you know, let's see, I think what we did with this was, I can't remember exactly what it was at, but you know, you fiddle with your exposure there, and then click OK, and then to actually have the PLC running the camera, you have to make sure that you put the camera online. So when you're in this area, you'll notice that it's got this blue circle, the white diamond. That means that it's offline, that this camera is offline. And then we're going to put it online and show you the difference. It's not much of a difference, but just good to know. Yeah. So now you see that it's got the little green and it's got a play button. So that means it's online. Now this little screen right here, going over back to this home, clicking the camera you want, and then click and open HMI, and you can actually look at it. See, this popped up in my web browser. You can actually look at it in a web browser. Typing in that'll show you the HMI. But if you ever want to edit it and see what it change it, you can go offline. So you go here, and this is where you edit stuff. You can move things around, you can add and delete stuff. So if you want to, you can go to spreadsheet. If you want to edit this, you can go to this main. And that's how you edit the HMI that you see when you type in the IP address of the camera. So what we need to do is go online first, save your job, and now the PLC should be running the program, but it's not because we forgot to change this right here, trigger mode, to industrial Ethernet. Okay, then we go online, and then download that. Okay, so we've got our camera online. Make sure you have this rung, trigger enable. Now you can put logic there if you want to, but I didn't, and so every time that turns true, it'll trigger the camera once. So you have to make it untrue, and then true again. So let's switch See that flash in the background? So every time that rung goes true, it'll trigger it once. So that's that. And then if you want to see what it's triggering, what the results are, you can open this up and it'll show you what the picture it's acquired is. So you just got to make sure you're online, but you got to make sure you do all this other stuff in the spreadsheet to make sure it passes or fails. And then I did find the inspectional status thing, so let's see. Controller tags. I believe I did find. We need to go to Insight, Out, right here. Nope, Insight In, Status. And then here is probably where you go results passed. Whether the acquisition, the image passed results or not. Then, if you want to look at a video that shows you how to do the deep learning part, I believe this video right here, I'm sorry, this is about the best way I should have of showing you how to get to the video, is just, you're going to have to type that in. It's like from the middle to the end of the video shows you how to do the acquisitions and deep learning part. And that's that.